Let's talk about another one, Bitcoin miner Marathon, on track to meet its hash rate guidance despite delay. The miner is holding all of its Bitcoins and currently has 9,373.6 Bitcoins with a fair market value of approximately $427.7 million in USD. Marathon Digital, one of the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miners, is still on track to meet its hash rate guidance of 23.3 exahash per second by early 2023, despite a 45-day delay in deploying its mining rigs during the first quarter, the company said in a statement Monday. Here are the key points. The company attributed the delay to a longer than expected permitting process for the required power for its operations. And believe you me, I feel them here. So like when you see these types of things coming from companies, it's true. Like the fact is like I'm still waiting on 3-phase. I'm still waiting on a permanent location. And this is all based on the power company. And depending on where you are located, especially if you're located in an area that generally is okay with cryptocurrency mining, the other thing that's happening in those areas is a huge influx of people. And that's not just because of Bitcoin mining. A lot of it has to do with just the environment. It typically means that they have better schools. It typically means that they are not overbearing on the economy as far as from a tax perspective. A lot of people are relocating right now. A lot of people are getting out of dense populated areas such as Los Angeles, such as San Francisco, such as New York, and they're moving out towards the center of the US. And typically this is also where a lot of the Bitcoin miners are also moving, is more into the Midwest, more into the center of the United States and getting out. So you have a huge demand on the power companies to supply power to all of the new infrastructure that's being put into place and so on. So this isn't necessarily surprising. Typically, power flows from power stations into the grid. However, to ensure we have a consistent power supply when the renewable sources are operating intermittently, we also needed power to flow from the grid back into the power station at scale, end quote. And this is something that is also being done within cryptocurrency mining in general. And a part of the reason for this is the basically the financial incentives for the mining companies to be able to get that to flow back into the grid so that they can get essentially the incentives that are built into the power grid in general and each geographical location. In some cases, if you're looking at, if you're looking within like West Texas, for example, and some of the companies that are building out there, some of these Bitcoin miners are getting paid to turn off their rigs. And in some cases, it's even more than they would make within a 24-hour day of just mining Bitcoin, depending on the size of the operation and fees and all of that sort of stuff, network activity and so on. But this is pretty common now at this point. And that's coming from Marathon CEO Fred Thiel, noting that this process required permitting, which delayed the development. The delay comes after Marathon said that during the fourth quarter of last year, maintenance to the power generating station in Hardin, Montana, affected the company's Bitcoin production in November. However, Thiel said that, quote, the delays are now behind us, end quote, and expects to reach 23.3 exahash a second by early next year. Marathon mined 12,500, or 12,000, sorry, not 12,000, that would be insane, but I'm sure there are some bigger ones out there. 1,258.6 Bitcoin during the first quarter, a 15% increase from the previous quarter, and 556% higher than a year ago. The miner is still holding on to its mined Bitcoins and currently has 9,373.6 Bitcoin with a fair market value of approximately $427.7 million US dollars. Marathon also confirmed to CoinDesk that is open to selling the company for the right offer, as was earlier reported by Bloomberg. Marathon shares have fallen 12% this year, while Bitcoin has fallen 2.6%, and mining peers Riot Blockchain and Core Scientific have dropped 9% and 16% respectively. So definitely you should also pay attention to hear that it's interesting that they are open, or Marathon is open to selling, of course, their mining operations, which I find curious. I think that we're going to see a lot of people liquidating and getting out of the cryptocurrency mining space here over the next couple of years, not dissimilar to what we've seen previously with other Bitcoin super cycles. Whenever the market kind of comes down, people want to get out, and then when it starts to pump back up, people want to get back in. The strategies we're going to have to employ to basically take over and kind of be able to survive the bear market's going to be really interesting, and I definitely am aware of that and trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. My personal strategy here so far as what I'm looking at is to just be able to outperform, of course, the bear market, meaning that I need to expand further in my mining operation and take those opportunities with cheap GPUs and so on to build bigger, and then be prepared, of course, for the next super cycle run. Now, we should also talk about the fact that things are looking very weird within the market. Now, within the cryptocurrency market as it sits right now, you know, we would be expecting through April and so on, or after April and so on, or just in this certain time frame, to see a huge dip. But we do know also at the same time that the traditional super cycle has appeared to be kind of thrown out. It's different now, and a lot of that has to do with what's going on within, of course, the economy in general, the overprinting of the US dollar, for example, a lot of the stuff that's going on with sanctions and such. What we see, I think, is possibly a higher price point for the bear market, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have like this bear market just sit right at the $40,000 mark, for example, on Bitcoin all the way through the next couple of years. Should be interesting to see how it plays out. But what I am expecting is basically a better case than what we saw previously with the bear market, but still seeing kind of a stalemate on the pricing. I could be completely wrong, but as you guys can see, the bounces back and forth, it seems to sit right around this $40,000 to $50,000 mark. And if we are going to follow that super cycle, maybe we just got lucky and we get a higher baseline, right? So if we were typically looking at a Bitcoin super cycle, you would expect the price of Bitcoin, for example, to drop back down to the previous all-time high of the super cycle, which would be around 21,000 US dollars. However, that doesn't appear to be happening, but that doesn't mean that you're not in a bear market, essentially, is the point there. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.